The most powerful man in NASCAR just had the worst day of his life in court, and a racing legend just admitted something that nobody saw coming. Inside a federal courtroom in Charlotte, the trial between NASCAR and two race teams reached a critical moment. Three powerful men took the witness stand. What they said under oath shocked everyone watching. Let me walk you through exactly what happened when lawyers started asking the tough questions. Jim France was first. He's the 80-year-old chairman and CEO of NASCAR. His family has run the sport for over 75 years. He almost never speaks in public. But on this day, he had no choice. He had to answer questions under oath. The lawyers for Michael Jordan's team and Front Row Motorsports came prepared. They had emails, they had documents, they had evidence. And they started asking France very specific questions about how NASCAR handled the contract negotiations with teams. One of the first things they asked France was simple. Did he remember the details of the charter negotiations? France's answer stunned the courtroom. "I don't recall," he said. Then they asked him another question about specific meetings. Again, France said he didn't remember. This kept happening. Question after question, France either gave very short answers or said he couldn't remember. People watching the trial couldn't believe it. This is the man who runs NASCAR. How could he not remember these important business decisions? The lawyers showed France emails that had his name on them. They asked if he remembered sending them or reading them. France struggled to give clear answers. Sometimes he said maybe. Sometimes he said he wasn't sure. He never gave strong, confident responses. One lawyer asked France directly about NASCAR's negotiating strategy with teams. Did NASCAR give teams a real chance to negotiate the contract terms? France said yes. He claimed teams could have walked away if they didn't like the deal. He said NASCAR wasn't forcing anyone. But then the lawyer pulled out documents showing something different. The documents showed NASCAR gave teams a hard deadline, signed by September 6th at 6 in the evening, or lose your charter. The lawyer asked France if that sounded like teams really had a choice. France tried to defend it. He said teams are smart business people. He said they knew what they were signing. He said the deal was fair, but his voice didn't sound confident. Legal experts watching said France looked uncomfortable. The lawyer then asked about the clause in the contract where teams had to promise never to sue NASCAR. France was asked why NASCAR needed teams to sign away their legal rights. What was NASCAR afraid of? France said it was standard business practice. He said NASCAR just wanted stability. But the lawyer pushed back. The lawyer said most businesses don't force their partners to give up all legal rights forever. The lawyer asked if NASCAR was worried teams might sue because the terms were unfair. France denied that, but he couldn't explain why NASCAR needed such strong protection if everything was fair. Judge Kenneth Bell, sitting at his bench, was watching all of this carefully. At several points, the judge interrupted. He asked France to answer questions more directly. He told France that "I don't recall" wasn't good enough for some questions. The judge wanted real answers. At one moment that went viral among people following the trial, Judge Bell made a sarcastic apology to NASCAR's lawyers. NASCAR's attorneys had been objecting to many questions. The judge was clearly tired of it. He said sorry in a tone that made it obvious he wasn't really sorry. He was telling them to stop interrupting. Legal analysts watching said they'd rarely seen a judge show that much frustration with one side. It was a bad sign for NASCAR. After 2 hours of difficult testimony, France finally left the witness stand. That did not go well for NASCAR at all. Next up was Steve Phelps. He's NASCAR's president and chief operating officer. Unlike France, Phelps was more involved in the day-to-day negotiations with teams. The lawyers were eager to question him. Phelps was asked to describe the final negotiations with teams. He explained that NASCAR made what they called their final offer to teams in September. He said NASCAR told teams this was the best deal they would get. Take it or leave it. The lawyer asked Phelps how much room teams had to negotiate after that final offer. Phelps admitted there wasn't much room. He said NASCAR had made their decision about the terms. Then came questions about specific teams. The lawyer asked about negotiating with 23XI Racing, Michael Jordan's team. Phelps's face changed. He looked frustrated just thinking about it. Phelps said talking with 23XI was difficult. He said they kept pushing back on terms. They kept asking for changes. They wanted more money for teams. They wanted different rules. Phelps described the whole process as frustrating. The lawyer asked why it was frustrating. Was it frustrating because 23XI was being unreasonable, or was it frustrating because they were asking for fair treatment? Phelps said no, it was frustrating because NASCAR had already decided on the terms. 23XI wanted to keep negotiating when NASCAR was done negotiating. The lawyer paused, then asked the key question. If NASCAR was done negotiating, was it really a negotiation at all, or was NASCAR just telling teams what to do? Phelps tried to explain that NASCAR had listened to teams throughout the year. They had considered team input, but ultimately NASCAR made the final decision about what the contract would say. The lawyer pressed further. Did any team ideas make it into the final contract? Did NASCAR accept any of the changes teams requested? Phelps admitted that the final contract was mostly what NASCAR wanted. Then the lawyer asked about money. Teams wanted a bigger share of NASCAR's revenue. Did NASCAR seriously consider that? Phelps said they considered it but decided against it. NASCAR believed the current split was fair. The lawyer showed financial comparisons to other sports. NFL teams get about 48% of league revenue. NBA teams get 50%. NASCAR teams get 25%. The lawyer asked Phelps why NASCAR's number was so much lower. Phelps explained that NASCAR is different. NASCAR owns the tracks. NASCAR promotes the races. NASCAR does more work than other sports leagues, so NASCAR deserves more money. But the lawyer pointed out that NASCAR owning the tracks might actually be part of the problem. If you own the racetracks and you run the racing series, you control everything. Teams have nowhere else to go. Phelps disagreed. He said teams benefit from NASCAR's structure. He said team charter values have gone up. He said teams are doing fine financially. The lawyer then asked about teams that have closed or struggled. Several teams have shut down in recent years. If teams are doing fine, why do they keep closing? Phelps didn't have a great answer. He said racing is expensive and some teams can't make it work, but that's true in any business. After Phelps finished testifying, the courtroom took a break. Everyone was talking about what they'd heard so far, but nobody was prepared for what came next. Richard Childress walked to the witness stand. Childress is a legend in NASCAR. He's owned a race team for decades. He's won championships. Everyone respects him. And unlike the team suing NASCAR, Childress actually signed the contract. The lawyer asked Childress a simple question. When you signed NASCAR's charter agreement, how did you feel about it? Childress took a breath. Then he said something nobody expected. He said he felt blindsided by the whole process. The courtroom went silent. Blindsided? This man signed the contract. He agreed to it. But he felt blindsided, Childress explained. He said NASCAR's approach caught him off guard. He said the deadline pressure was intense. He said he felt like he had no real choice. The lawyer asked him to elaborate. What do you mean you had no choice? You could have said no, like 2311 and Front Row did. Childress got emotional. He explained that saying no would destroy everything he'd built. His team employs hundreds of people. He has sponsors who depend on him. He has drivers whose careers depend on him racing. If he said no to NASCAR, all of that goes away. So even though he thought the contract was unfair, he signed it. Because not signing meant losing everything. The lawyer asked if Childress felt pressured by NASCAR. Yes, he said. Absolutely. As the court day ended, everyone knew something major had just happened. Jim France had struggled badly on the witness stand. Steve Phelps had admitted NASCAR didn't really negotiate. And Richard Childress, NASCAR's own team owner, had just testified that he felt forced to sign an unfair contract. This trial just took a dramatic turn, and NASCAR is in serious trouble.